Okay. And yell at us. Okay, welcome. I call this meeting to order at 3:04 p.m. on November 2nd, 2023. Roll is taken by means of sign-in sheet at the front, so please be sure you sign in. If you're an alternate for a senator, please just sign next to the name of the senator. We have several alternates today. So Jennifer Blanchard for Yan Chen, Dan Yost for Janine Grodetsky, Ed Bush for Lisa Foltz, Raul Shah for Gerald Baumgartner, Jonathan Snow for Akeem Harman, Heather Kirk Ballard for Hallie Dozier. Any other alternates whom I haven't called? Okay, great. Mr. Secretary, do we have a quorum? Wonderful. We have two guests today at our meeting. So the chairs of Faculty Appeals Board, Chad Seifried, and Adjudication Committee, Blake Howe, will be here shortly to do a quick presentation about the charge of their committees and their role on the Senate. The minutes were circulated to you via email from our October 11th meeting. Is there a motion to accept the minutes? Second. Are there any corrections? Yeah.
Yes, the first paragraph is the first thing.
You got that? Yeah. Are there any other corrections? Okay, with those corrections, all those in favor to accept minutes from October 11th, please say aye. Against? Okay. Abstentions? Jeff Rollins. Okay, the minutes pass. Dear Senators, since our last meeting in October, there are several items that I think would be of interest to you. Board of Supervisors meeting. Vice President Tyrone, in his role as our alternate representative to the Council of Faculty Advisors, presented the LSU A&M faculty report to the Board of Supervisors at their recent meeting on Friday, October 20th. The Faculty Senate Executive Committee believes these presentations are important opportunities to celebrate our faculty and other notable developments on campus, and consequently, the recent report included the following highlights. National Academy of Sciences funding for a 5-year, $22 million consortium of 38 principal investigators and 14 institutions co-led by LSU and Tulane, aimed at bolstering the critical Mississippi River Delta and surrounding region. LSU Leadership in Artificial Intelligence, which will include over 40 courses that will incorporate AI into the curriculum in the spring term. The very positive results of a recent survey of Louisiana residents discussed in our most recent broadcast email. The 6 National Science Foundation Career Awards given to early career LSU faculty in chemistry, geology and geophysics, biological sciences, mechanical engineering, oceanography and coastal sciences, and physics and astronomy. The American Journalism Historians Association's selection of Jack Hamilton, Professor of Journalism at the Manship School of Mass Communication, for their Sidney Cobra Award for Lifetime Achievement. And the Association for Library and Information Sciences recognition of Dr. Edward Benoit, Associate Professor and Associate Director of the LSU School of Information Studies, as the 2023 Senior Faculty recipient of their Excellence in Teaching Award. We are immensely proud of our faculty and the amazing work they do. We also do not take for granted the conditions that enable us to continue our pursuit of academic excellence. I recently had the opportunity to meet with faculty from universities in Florida and Texas as part of the SEC Leadership Program, and heard firsthand how recent changes to tenure and academic freedom policies in their respective states had tremendous negative impacts on their institutions. We in Louisiana are fortunate to have thus far avoided the national and regional trends affecting these cornerstones of higher education. And given that we are unaware at this time of any pending developments which would change the status quo, we are hopeful that we will continue to do so. Rest assured, however, that Faculty Senate leadership remains steadfast in our commitment to free academic inquiry and the politics that support it. And we have been assured that the LSU administration shares our sentiments and will be staunch allies of the faculty should the situation change. Updates on ongoing processes. Joint Committee on Student Success. We have formed a joint committee with the Office of Academic Affairs, Student Affairs, Data Analytics, and Enrollment Management to start a collaborative process of addressing student success, especially in their first year at LSU. We have a meeting scheduled next week, and I will keep you apprised of its development. The goal is for the group to meet quarterly, share information, and make best decisions for our students. Faculty Handbook. We are in the process of updating the handbook, especially bringing it in compliance with state law concerning vacation time. Policy revisions and submission process. We are working with the Office of Academic Affairs to streamline the process involving policy statements and permanent memoranda. Finally, student evaluations. I have been working with the Office of Academic Affairs and the Graduate School to continue the work which was discussed at the initial meeting with the FSEC, intended to streamline graduate student evaluations. For this collaboration process, progress has been made. Moving forward, the process should be very easy for faculty to complete. Please let me know if you face any problems in coming semesters. We hope to continue strengthening faculty governance at LSU. I want to assure faculty that we will not deter from our commitment to academic freedom and tenure protections. We are monitoring the situation very closely, and we will keep you informed. Also, please let us know if you hear any concerns from your fellow colleagues, and please let us know, the executive committee, or let me know personally. We are here for you, and we have an unflinching commitment to faculty, its interests, and academic inquiry. Thank you. Any questions about the report? Okay, we will now move on to new business. So at our last meeting, we had several elections to our standing committees. And we had an additional nomination for our Faculty Appeals Board. It had 3 vacancies. So we have Lily Ellen as our nominee, and we have 2 additional vacancies if there are any other, if anyone wants to nominate anyone or self-nominate. Okay. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Okay, so the floor is open for any additional nominations to Faculty Appeals Board. Do we need a motion to close it, or? Okay, so all those in favor for Lily Ellen to be nominated to join the Faculty Appeals Board, please say aye. Against, say nay. No. Abstentions? Okay, so congratulations, Lily. So we now move on to our presentations. So I have invited Chad Seifried, the chair of Faculty Appeals Board, to do a short presentation on its charge and what they do and all that good stuff. So Chad, please join us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak in front of the group here today. Maybe I should have been first because then I could have promoted the Faculty Appeals Board to maybe some other people wanting to nominate some people out here. So what I'll start off with saying is we hope that we are a group that never has any cases to do. We haven't had any cases to date, and maybe you'll understand why as I kind of explain like what our charges are. So we have 3 charges as a board, broadly speaking. The first one is to make recommendations to the provost's office on PS 104, dismissal for cause for faculty is initiated against a faculty member. So again, in cases where we have some kind of dismissal happen for cause against faculty member, the provost has the opportunity to call us in during an appeal process to have further conversation and further discussion about that before that continues to move on towards an actual case of termination. A second charge that we have is the recommendations to the provost when the faculty member appeals a non-appointment decision or when there's a unit decision to not consider a request for a promotion. So again, we're here as kind of an advisory arm or as another source of like input or perspective to the provost's office and kind of really important decisions at someone's potential career. Again, a reappointment decision or when there's a decision not to consider a request for a promotion. The third and final charge that we have is to deliberate and make recommendations to the next highest administrator when a faculty member appeals an administrative decision. So there are potentially a variety of other work decisions that may happen or employment decisions that may happen on a campus, not related to reappointment or dismissal with cause and such. So we're there to help serve as an advisory arm to those administrative personnel to try to help them navigate potentially delicate situations. So those are generally the 3 charges that we have. This is our 4th year of operation as an appeals board. Again, at the kind of request of of faculty members and request of the provost to work with. And we haven't had any cases to date, and knock on wood, that means we won't have any moving forward because we're doing such a great job collectively as an institution, not only facilitating potentially faculty members towards promotion and tenure and such, but also not having any kind of like controversies or anything of that sort related to non-appointment or the facilitation of kind of like what they call administrative decisions, if you will. So I'm here to take any kind of questions if you have any on what we're doing as a faculty appeals board, but I want to welcome Lily. So you're going to hopefully really enjoy our committee work. I should mention that we are going to be electing a associate chair sometime this semester. So I'll be initiating a meeting. It's kind of waiting forward till we got the next round of elections done before I kind of organized that. So the timing was really great for this election today. So welcome to our committee, at least. Yes. Yeah.
Hi. Does the appeals board render determinations on these cases? And are those, if so, are those determinations advisory only?
So we are to make recommendations, but we are not like the final determination. I think I foresee, and as it's been explained to me when I first joined the committee 3+ years ago, is that we're here to help the provost make more informed decisions with a variety of faculty perspectives across campus. So our, I guess, makeup as a faculty appeals board comes across campus, representing all different colleges across the university. So we're not just coming from one discipline or one college. We're here to represent potentially perspectives that are going to make or help the provost's office or other administrators make the best administration decision possible. So we're a recommendation arm. We're to help them make the final decisions, but we don't make the final decision, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Okay, all right.
It's got one right here.
No, not directly. Those kind of things should follow the process that we have laid out related to. Yes, we serve at kind of an advisory arm toward them to help provide more perspective on what we feel is happening in a situation. No, we have our own separate, like, distinct process. Yeah, that's right. And we will meet when called upon, but we haven't been called upon yet. We do have meetings in the spring to elect well, this spring we'll elect a new, or this fall we'll elect a new, associate chair. And then we have our kind of wrap up meeting that we do in the spring where we author a report that eventually gets forwarded to you all. It ranges from 12 to 15 members, depending on how many people have been elected and such, or we have a couple open spots, obviously, still right now. Well, not all departments probably, but certainly all the colleges are covered. Yes. And you all have an opportunity to nominate people in those things. And I think one of the positive things that Anessa wanted to do as far as bringing us to in front of you all today is maybe we haven't had cases because people didn't know we existed. So certainly that's one of the reasons I'm also here as well.
It's a different board.
Yeah, well.
You want to be on the adjudication committee? We're full though. Oh. Oh. I don't think we're open.
We can figure this out. Yeah. I like that idea.
Yeah. Maybe I would date myself. So we had, well, I'll be a bit careful. Years ago, there was a PS 109 was sort of not followed because I'm not talking about the cases where you have events that are outside the academic, like someone does something borderline illegal,
like illegal or something.
Yeah, for 104, that triggers a 104 immediately. This was where the 109 process, if I remember correctly, wasn't followed by, for lack of a better term, a problem with department chair. And the faculty member got to a 104, and I would argue it never should have gotten there because someone didn't review. And so do you guys look at if like, I think the 109 rule was like 3 109s in 5 years? Is that where you have a PS? You know what I'm saying? Where you have you're in, I guess, post-tenure review is what it was called. And the faculty member was, man, he was very well published at one time, got a little older, and there was some conflicts with the department chair, and the 109 wasn't followed, and they got to a 104. And I remember going over there having to go because it happened in my college. So do you guys look, is there any review that looks at how 109 gets, how those things are done before he ever triggers a 104, where you have that? Because that, to me, if it gets to there, it can already get too far and someone can get railroaded.
So we're not actively pursuing cases, and kind of, if I'm understanding the way you're outlining this, like looking for episodes of things like that on campus. But if those things get brought to our attention via the pipeline through administration and certainly the provost's office, then our committee would be called to look at that type of situation and provide some perspective on, this is how we felt like they got to this point, and maybe there were some things that are unfair about this process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
But we wouldn't actively be the first person they would contact in instances like that.
okay.
It would have to go through the pipeline before it got to us.
Because I remember a case, and like I said, it definitely involved someone, a chair pushed the 104 and it got to a 104 and there wasn't under PS 109, technically it wasn't followed to get to the 104 is the way I remember it. So you understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I understand.
Oh,
what
okay.
you're saying.
Okay.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I don't want to necessarily say we're like kind of justifying their decision at say the provost level. We're there to help them make a final decision. So it's a board that gets called upon if we get in light where there's faculty appealing previous decisions of dismissal, appealing decisions for non-appointment or opportunities to do other types of things on campus, right? And so we're there to help provide additional perspective to some kind of senior level administrators to help them make a final decision on that. So we're not there to adjudicate in that sense. We're there to help, like, again, be advisory board or advisory arm to make recommendations. As far as I know, yes. Like our board's been called upon to meet. We're not there to tell the provost what to do. Like, I want to be very clear about that. Well, so I think our group helps represent the faculty or helps represent the potential party, but we're not there to tell the provost what to do. We're really talking about, like, were procedures followed that were fair. You know, when you're bringing up your particular case, maybe there was things that didn't make sense along the way. And we're there to provide maybe additional perspective that maybe wasn't considered along the line, or to potentially confirm things about the process up to that point. Yeah. So if at any point in time that you want to appeal any kind of like employment related types of things that happen to you, okay, you can initiate a process through your dean's office and then subsequently, yeah, and such, and eventually, like, we would get called upon to help the provost, for example, in one scenario, resolve your appeal. But you're the one who initiates an appeal, just like you, like, potentially might make a counter argument you want to have in the formal paperwork during your annual review process or something like that. So yeah, you would be initiating those kind of things. Well, it would go then up to the next level. Yes.
No, I think,
Yeah.
if I may, I
Yeah.
think faculty are free to come to appeals board and no dean is involved here. I mean, the appeals board is there for the faculty. I mean, you don't have to ask permission from the dean. May I please go and appeal it to the faculty appeals board? I think you should be accepting faculty just like adjudication accepts all sorts of complaints about procedural complaints. It's different.
So my understanding is that we do not accept direct, like, appeals from the faculty. Oh, we do? Okay, well.
You do. Why would it?
Well, because my thought process is when I got recruited to be on the board was that we're going to be a group that gets called upon by the provost office to help them make recommendations. We help make recommendations to help resolve situations, but we don't directly initiate the process to go to the provost office and such. Yeah. I didn't make the title. Yeah. Right. Right.
So those kind of cases, I would definitely do it for you, not someone that I'm thinking as nice as a person that they're talk about CY almost.
I don't see it that way because of the representation of the different units. Well, I mean, you can laugh, I mean, if you want, but I don't see this as us representing and doing what the provost office would want to do in a case like that. Again, we're there to help look at all the information there and provide some kind of perspective or recommendation to that office. And again, it's a representation across the university as well.
Items, if I am to serve, is to kind of clear somehow the line of reporting and our line of, you know, if we are mediators for the faculty, we have to be clear, and faculty need to know that that exists, right?
Right.
So, okay. So it sounds like there was a bit of mix up, but we'll straighten it out.
We'll sort it out.
Okay. All right. But yeah, the faculty, I would imagine we were for faculty. We provide information.
We work for the university, yes. So,
Oh, I'm well aware of that.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah. Before the decision, the final decision. Yeah. Right.
So what I'm asking is,
Yeah, I don't know quite how to answer that other than you have a process that through different employment actions that are made that you can initiate to appeal to parties for different things. And eventually we would get called upon to help resolve that situation.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. I'll be brief. So you might not know how to answer this since apparently you haven't had any cases, but I'm wondering if you were to have a case, would the faculty member in question actually speak with you guys, or would you guys just be looking at things they had written or whatever? Would you actually get in the room with them so you can have a back and forth about exactly what the situation is, right? And kind of get that on the ground.
Yeah,
Input.
I'm not quite sure how to answer that, but I'm sure we would look at all the opportunities that we had to help make the best decision possible. And that may include that. It may include that, yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, our next presenter is Blake Howe, Chair of Faculty Adjudication Committee, and he has a PowerPoint, I think.
you all hear me okay?
Oh,
Higher?
Better? I'll project. I'm Blake Howe from the School of Music, and I'm the chair of the Faculty Adjudication Committee. And I'll just talk you through a bit about our committee's purpose and our process. We're a standing committee of the Faculty Senate, and our charge is to hear complaints from LSU faculty, to investigate those complaints, and to make recommendations for resolving them. The committee used to be called the Faculty Grievance Committee, but that name was changed years ago to better reflect the committee's purpose. We're not a complaint box. We assess issues that come before us. We investigate, we analyze, we deliberate, we adjudicate, ergo the Adjudication Committee. What types of complaints are we charged with adjudicating? Here I'll quote extensively from our committee's policy documents. A complaint is any action or decision that a faculty member feels has adversely affected his or her professional capacity as an LSU employee that appears to have occurred or been decided unfairly, improperly, or in violation of university policy, or has caused hostile or intolerable work conditions. Let's pause on this language. We don't investigate general discontent. We don't look into negative vibes. We adjudicate specific actions or decisions that have been made unfairly, improperly, or in violation of university policy. That is permanent memoranda, policy statements, or university and departmental bylaws. We're not concerned with whether the policy itself is good or not, only with whether those policies were ignored or misapplied. Continuing on with our committee's policy documents, examples of complaints include, but are not limited to, violations of academic freedom, negative evaluations not based on objective criteria, salary decisions indicative of a pattern of poor administrative judgments, uncorrected, inappropriate, or unsuitable work environments, continuing intolerable conditions, and continuing behavior or conduct unbecoming a faculty member. What is not a complaint? Well, we're not permitted to adjudicate complaints that are already encompassed by specific university policies, including incidents of sexual harassment, discrimination, and dismissal for cause. We would also not investigate tenure and promotion cases on the basis of their academic merit. For such cases to fall under our purview, there would need to be evidence that, quote, an academic judgment has been unfairly made or hopelessly sufficiently corrupted by bad practices or procedures. Let me take you on a tour of our process. Consider this the life cycle of a complaint. First, a faculty member with a complaint will seek redress at lower administrative levels, or they will have sought to resolve the situation through the university ombudsperson. In most cases, the office of the ombudsperson is the preferred venue for faculty complaints, as it can offer a degree of confidentiality that our committee, as a public body, cannot provide. If the outcomes of those efforts have been unsatisfactory, the faculty member may approach a member of the adjudication committee with a formal written complaint, accompanied by supporting documentation. The committee member will assess whether the complaint is ready and appropriate for committee review. The committee reviews the complaint and may vote to accept the complaint as a grievance, which is the designation that we use to begin an investigation. The investigation might involve a review of records and policy documents, interviews with the parties involved, and other steps the committee deems necessary to render a judgment. Individuals who are adversely named in the complaint are given a copy of the document and offered an opportunity to respond. And I should say, at some point in the investigation, when the committee decides that it wants to try to broker a settlement between the parties, that's an opportunity that we might take without actually going forward and continuing with the investigative process. The committee writes a report with a list of recommendations. The committee votes on its own report. And then the report is given to the faculty member who filed the complaint, the parties adversely named in the complaint, the administrators involved in the investigation, and crucially, to the Faculty Senate President and to the Provost. I say crucially because responsibility for the final resolution of complaints and grievances is jointly shared among university administrators and Faculty Senate. Before I conclude, I want to tell you what you, as faculty senators, can do to support our work. First, you can continue electing stellar faculty to serve on this committee. And so let me take a moment now and thank our current members, some of whom I see here today. Fabio Del Piero, Vet Med, Jeannie Donaldson, Psychology, Carrie Dooley, Chemical Engineering, Meredith Gallio, Architecture, Dominique Homberger, Biology, Joe Lagoria, Business, Ed Shihada, Criminology, Mayank Tyagi, Petroleum Engineering. This is a group that brings diverse perspectives and expertise and that strives to be thorough and fair. It's a group that welcomes disagreement, but also seeks consensus. It's a pleasure to work with them. Second, you can refer your colleagues to this committee if, God forbid, they ever experience an issue that falls under our purview. Our committee's procedures are posted on the Faculty Senate website, and I would ask anyone thinking of filing a complaint to first review those documents. And finally, I encourage you to review the policy documents that govern your own academic units. If you're relying on institutional memory, administrators, goodwill, and collegiality to operate on a daily basis, well, don't. Institutional memory fades, deans come, deans go. Goodwill and collegiality are one controversial decision away from fraying. Instead, rely on policy. We can adjudicate that. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can you give us a sense of how many cases you've had before you, and in how many of those cases that your recommendations were actually adopted by the powers that be?
It's a good question. I make it a habit not to speak about cases that come before the committee outside of the context of our committee meetings. But we're busy. We meet regularly, about once a month. I have the confidence of the Faculty Senate leadership that they'll be advocates for our recommendations when they meet with the administration.
To add to the other clarification, what is the overlap, if any, with the appeals committee? There is none, I'm seeing. Okay, so one looks like it's against policy. It's a breach of policy, and one feels like it's a breach of, not a breach, but an appeal in a decision making, mostly related to tenure. Is that right?
Yeah, we wouldn't look into a case
Right.
from a faculty member who didn't get tenure,
Right.
but thinks that they should have based on the size of their CV, based on their academic accomplishments. That wouldn't be part of our purview.
Right.
If there was a discrepancy about a vote tally, that would be something that we would, I think, eagerly want to look into. Yeah. All right. I would probably recommend cases where there's ambiguity to go to the Faculty Appeals Board first. Yeah. Thank you.
So believe it or not, this concludes our meeting for the day. And should have asked Blake more questions, but our next meeting, December meeting, is actually scheduled in November. It's November 29th. And we will feature President Tate on that day. And we will have someone from HR make a very nice announcement. So, so stay tuned. So I'll see you on November 29th, and be well. Is there a motion to adjourn? All those in favor say aye. Okay, thank you.